Sorry, you guys, for that awkward pause. Okay, so good morning. Hopefully, everybody has had an awesome day so far. I got on the power hour, and I just freaking love power hours because I get so much done, and it allows me to be productive. So, this one today, it is called, I just pulled it up because I've had it there before, and it says, "Don't give up," and it says, "Perseverance for the trials ahead." And then this one specifically says Joseph in his dreams. And I figured it was relevant because if you're in this business, and then this is going on YouTube, so even if you're not in a business, it's fine. But this one's super real and relatable to how we feel, especially in this business, because I feel like we are allowed to dream a lot bigger than most people in other jobs and things like that. It's a very big blessing, but also it can just come with like difficulties along the way when you don't see it happen as quickly. And so it says Joseph in his dreams, and it says Joseph was a teenager with a dream that compounded the hatred his brothers already had for him as a favorite son. It was a dream that one day his family would bow before him. That dream could have fallen to pieces in what came next for Joseph. After years of frustration, his brothers made a cruel move and sold him into slavery. His own brothers were subjecting him to a life of servitude and hardship, and chains as the property of another. Joseph's dream could have been lost in the past. But Joseph didn't throw up his hands and give up his own slavery, or give up in his slavery. Instead, Joseph did his creative best with what God had given him. In the house of Potiphar, he worked hard and leaned on God. As he did, God blessed him. It was here he rose to oversee the man's household and was entrusted with everything. He learned leadership, humility, and servanthood in his obscurity, still holding on to a dream. Joseph remained a righteous man when approached by Potiphar's wife. She accused him of trying to take advantage of her, and Joseph was thrown into prison. What seemed like a step backward was really a step forward. In prison, Joseph found favor and was appointed by the warden to oversee the prisoners, again, promoted to leadership. And it was here in prison he encountered the chief cupbearer and the king. Joseph had the opportunity to interpret his dream, which would prove valuable 2 years later when the king had a dream that needed interpreting. When Joseph interpreted the king's dream of coming famine, he was promoted to second in command over all of Egypt. His dream had come true. Joseph was presented with many difficult situations that most would have given up on, but he kept persevering and doing his best with what he had. As a result, he saw his dream come true and helped save thousands, including his own family. So that one was really short and sweet today. And so something I wanted to point on is a lot of us, and this can kind of go back to what Morgan was saying too on the Zooms, is a lot of us are praying for something specifically to happen, and we hate the process in between, and we think that it's supposed to look a certain way. And so when it doesn't happen the way that we had specifically planned it, we get discouraged, and we often think that God's against us rather than for us. And I know that probably every single one of us on here can actually relate to that. Because how many times have you prayed um, I don't know, this is just an example. How many times have you prayed for people to come into your team? That's like all you specifically prayed for, was for God to bring you people on your team. And those people turned out to be duds who didn't work, you know? And how many times have you prayed for a specific money to lay into your account, but you wanted it specifically by this business, or you wanted it specifically by your husband's business or whatever, but it didn't come that way, but you were provided it. It just didn't come in the way that you thought. And there can be so many different situations that happen like that. But a lot of times, like, we pray for things, and when we get it, it's like we complain. And I'm really bad about this, actually. I'm probably the number one person on here that is probably the worst about it, okay? Because all things could be going good, and then I look at that one thing and I'm like, but God, you didn't bless it in this way. But he's like, but I provided for you. I've told you time and time again, I'm going to provide for you. And then you're still complaining. You're still finding ways to sit here and blame me for things that I do have control over, but I just know that you aren't able to handle that yet. And I was thinking about it, and I was just like, and this goes back to what they were talking about on the team Zoom and stuff like that. But like, oftentimes, like, I would look at either Morgan's situation, or I would look at other top leaders on team, or not even just on this team, but in the business and stuff. And I would always like look at them and I'm like, why are they getting blessed with so many people? Why are they getting blessed with all of this? Why are they getting blessed with all of this money? And I'm still sitting here at this place, which I'm very thankful to be at, but I want to continue to grow. And I just can constantly get reminded every time something happens that you can't handle that yet. You can't handle that. I'm going to push the best that I can, and he's going to bless the work that I do. So it's not like I'm just going to sit back on my feet and be like, all right, you're going to bless me whenever you think time is right. No, I'm going to work really hard. And then whatever happens is in his hands, but he's going to bless the work in my hands. So that's not necessarily what I'm saying is discounting, like, don't work, please work. But that's oftentimes like the situation that I find myself in. And I've told y'all this again. I've told y'all this before, but I'll tell y'all again. I often have prayed for specifically for a specific paycheck amount. And not that I always pray to God about money, but I love figuring out like how far I can go outside my comfort zone, or how far I can push past the places that I've already been before. And so I'll pray for it. And God always says, like, if you don't ask, then how do you expect to receive? So of course I'm going to ask for any and everything, like, why wouldn't I take advantage of that and just see what he blesses? But oftentimes I've done that, and I've prayed for a specific check amount and it didn't come in the form that I thought, but I got it other places. Like I got $10 refund here, $20 refund here. Oh, I didn't have to spend the money over here, so it saved me $20 here. And at the end of the day, I really had to check myself, and I was like, oh God, you're telling me that you'll provide either way. It just might not be the way that I planned, because if it was the way that I planned, it would probably destroy me. It would probably cause me to be complacent. It would probably cause me to be ungrateful or think that I did all that work. And so this can apply to like a lot of things in life, but the season that you're currently going through, maybe you've been stuck at distributor or review rank for a year, or maybe you haven't promoted and you've been in this business 6 months, and you're like, why? Do you not think during that waiting period that he's molding you into the character that you need to become to be able to hold and withstand the things that the person that you're becoming? And I can say this from experience, and I don't know if this is like just in my head or whatever, but I genuinely feel like the people in this business, and honestly, not even just in this business, but in like literally anything, when people get success so quickly, they don't know how to handle it because their character is not there. And I'm not saying people can't have an overnight success. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying from my personal experience, from a view that I've seen, people who have literally rose to the ranks or rose to success or became a millionaire, like the people who win the lottery, they literally don't know how to handle that amount of money or that amount of abundance at once, because number one, it just happened to them overnight. They didn't mold into the character of knowing how they need to handle the situation. They didn't mold into the leader that they needed to be. And so I get frustrated sometimes when I see where I'm at and where I see where other people are. And then I'm like, but God, I would not trade the person that I am today with anything. My character tells a lot about who I am now. And if I were to have had the money that I prayed for several years ago, I would not still be here. I don't even know what type of person I'd be. And so you have to kind of gain that perspective going into things in your life. If you're praying for a situation, if you're praying for a house, like we were supposed to build a house last year or this year, and it fell through because it went up like $40,000. And now looking at it, I'm like, oh Lord, sweet baby Jesus, thank you, Jesus, for not giving me that house. And I was praying for it so badly. I was upset when we didn't get it. And then now looking at it now, I'm like, oh, that's why. Thank you. Hopefully we get a house this upcoming year. But it's just different scenarios, and I can name that about anything in life, with vacations. And this is something super silly, but my sister, she was going on her honeymoon, and or not her honeymoon, she was going on like a anniversary trip, I don't know. She was going across the country, and she was their flight got canceled because of dangerous storms, and she like texted our group message, and she's like, y'all, can y'all please just pray that our flight just ends up just getting not canceled anymore, that it just takes off. And I was thinking in the back of my mind, and I was like, there's a reason that flight got canceled. There's a reason for God's timing. There's a reason that he wanted you off of that plane, and I'm just going to trust that timing. And I'll pray that you obviously still get your trip, but I'm going to pray that it's in his timing. And they still got to go on, but they had to leave like 2 days later. And so I know it's such like a silly example, but it can literally apply to anything in life. And I think that we have to have that reminder, especially when we're frustrated. Because if you've worked in this business for more even than a month, you know that it takes time to build your character. You know that it takes time to build a team and to build those leaders and to build the people that you want in order to become the best version of yourself and become the moneymaker that you want and that you intend to be. Or, it takes time to build a house. So like, why would you think that it would just take overnight to build who you are and who you can become and what you can withhold and withstand with all the things that you're praying for? God can't always bless you with all the things that you're praying for at once because he knows that it'll overwhelm you. And anytime that you're in a situation, and I've really, really changed my perspective in this, and it has changed the freaking game for me. I can't even explain it, how many blessings that have happened that I've looked at it as an actual blessing instead of something that was meant to attack me. I can use this for an example again. Like, I know this is so silly, but these are just things that pop into my head. But like for our wedding, when our numbers got cut back for the wedding, okay, people were like, not really, I mean, some people were being a little bit difficult and it was really causing me stress, but I was just like, it's going to work out. Like, there's a reason for this. It'll work out. And now people are dropping off like flies. Okay. I had a bridesmaids drop out. Probably will have another bridesmaids drop out just because they're pregnant. But like, I keep having these things happen. And it was just because I was just like, I just trust you. Like, why would I stress over this? There's no reason to stress over this. It's something so silly and so minor in life. And it always works out. And look, now it's working out. Now we're under the number, so we're not going to get fined. Okay. So it's funny how things work out, but you just have to trust that process. And I think a lot of us don't trust the process because we are that instant gratification type of people. And that's okay, because I'm very guilty of that. And it's just, I think that's just how we are as humans. We're very impatient. But it teaches you to be patient and teaches you to trust God's timing and trust God's process, and also really, really enjoy who you're becoming in the process. And I know that like sometimes people are like, okay, but I'm broke and I can't even afford groceries. Why would I be grateful for where I'm at now? No, I get that. I've been there. I've literally been there. So I do get that. But at the same time, what is it teaching you? I know for me, all the times that my mom went without groceries, all the times that I had to help my mom pay rent when I was 16, all the times that I had to help her with bills, and then all the times that our lights got cut off, all the times that I literally had to go call my friends and go take showers at their house because we couldn't turn the water back on. All those times, it taught me how to be good with my money. Okay, so I know that God tells me he's never going to let me go without. So I'm not going to sit here, and if I have $20 in my bank account, I'm not going to go spend 12 of it on some food. Like I'm frugal with my money in that sense because it taught me along the way. Was I grateful in that moment of what we were going through because it was painful? No. But am I grateful now because I know that what that life was like before and what that feeling was like, and now I know that I would never in a million years put my family through that? No. I mean, yes, I am grateful for that. Wait, I don't know what I said before, but you know what I'm saying. So you have to think of it like that. So many of us like think that our situations are just so terrible, and although they're not the most ideal in the situation, think of just who you are becoming and what you are learning in that process. You know what I learned the other day? I literally learned the other day, Dallas and I, we had a brunch scheduled for our anniversary, and the night before we went to a wedding, but we met someone at their house, and we were just going to get an Uber back to our house and take my car to the lunch or the brunch, and he had his car at the place. I left my keys in his car. And so we were extremely late to brunch, and we had to call one of our friends and ask them to just like drive us like in the middle of nowhere, because that's where his family lives, is in the middle of nowhere. It was just a big mess. And so like, even in those instances, Dallas could have gotten mad at me, but he was like, it's just a learning experience. I was like, I'm so glad you're on the same page as me. Like, I'm sorry. I didn't think in the time, so it's just every single thing that happens is a learning experience. You can't sit here and say, oh my gosh, I'm pissed off at this. Oh my gosh, of course this happens to me again. Oh my gosh. No, it's happening for you. It's not happening against you. I promise you, every situation is always happening for you, even if you feel like you're the victim. So I think a lot of us need to change that mindset and switch it over, especially for the people who constantly are praying for the same things over and over and over and over and over again, and you still see yourself stuck in the same situation that you were a year ago. If you're still stuck in the same situation you were a year ago, chances are that is something that is in your situation that you can handle. You can be a little bit better with your money if you're really broke. You can be better with time management if you feel like you're still scrambling at the end of the day. You can get on the same schedule as your husband, knowing that what's going to take a little bit stress off of you. You know, like there's something in there that needs to change in order for God to bless you even more. And so if you find yourself in the same situation over and over and over, and like you're a freaking broken record, I've been there before and I hate it. That was me up until last year when I finally realized, oh, being consistent in this business actually works. Okay, gotcha. And then a year later, here I am like preaching consistency to anybody and everybody that walks past me. So anyways, you just got to learn your own process, but it's all for you. It's never against you. Learn from every single situation. And when you're in the situations, I know it's really, really easy for us to instantly freak out and be like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? But just sit there and be like, all right, God, thank you for this situation. Tell me what, or show me what you need to teach me in this moment and allow me to be grateful in it. And just say that to you over and over again. It can be like a mantra, it can be a prayer, and then it'll ground you with perspective of knowing God's got this situation. What can I learn from it? It's here to serve me. And now I know next time I'm in this situation, I won't do it. Like I used to lock myself out of I locked myself out of my car like twice before. And both of those times were horrendous because it took forever to get my keys and stuff. And it cost me a lot of money. And so do you not think I'm going to be a little bit more cautious of always having my keys in my hand? Absolutely. You know, besides this past weekend, it's fine. So I'm constantly learning. So you just learn different areas. So hopefully that helps and gives people perspective, because I just think that a lot of us need to take that victim mentality off the plate and start replacing it with God's with us and for us and always helping us in ways that we just don't even know. So hopefully that helps. I'm going to stop this recording.